What's up, everybody? Wishing you all a happy Friday from a very wet and rainy New York City. Let's head down to Bryant Park. We'll check out the Winter Village. We'll just kind of hang out after a crazy, crazy week on the street. You see Sally, Alan, check the logic. What's going on? Good to see everybody. I'm sure you've all seen the news. President Trump selected hedge fund manager Scott Bessent as Treasury Secretary. So a little bit of breaking news for us here on a Friday. Charles Hong, what's going on? Mike G, Mr. 15 Central Park West. Although the city does look quite nice with the rain. Yeah, check the logics. This week was tough but rewarding. It was very busy, very, very busy week. Much deserved weekend. Joe E is here. I see Mohammed, Stan, Michelle K, Ben. What's going on? Ben, what are your thoughts about President-elect Trump's pick for Treasury Secretary? We'll talk about it a little bit tonight. I think it was a pretty good choice. Oh wow, they finally have the snowflake lit up in the middle of Fifth Avenue. Well, on the corner of Fifth Avenue and 57th Street, I should say. Looks pretty good. Ben says Trump Treasury pick is horrible. Worked for Soros his entire life. I think it's a good pick. I'll share some of my ideas why. This is the new Louis Vuitton store, and then you have the very unique one up above, and you could just see the top of Steinway Tower here. Dock 7, what's going on? Cheers. Looks kind of cool though, doesn't it? Cynthia Ava, welcome. Check the logic. C-Piece is Bitcoin almost 100,000 today. Almost, yeah. It's I was looking at the buy-sell walls. There is so much Bitcoin set to be sold at 100,000. I think it's going to take us a little bit to reach that six-figure level because there's just so much sell pressure, which makes sense, right? There's a lot of, original OG Bitcoiners that bought Bitcoin, let's say $1,000, $4,000, that have held their stash and kind of set, sell orders at 100,000. Just for kind of a, big round number reminiscing. Trade Brigade, what's going on? Good to see you on this rainy day. Lots of breaking news. But guys, before we get started, we'll just do the quick audio and visual check. If you guys can hear us, and if we're streaming in 1080p, just go ahead and leave a thumbs up in the chat and we'll get started once again on the corner of 5th Avenue and Billionaires Row, 57th Street. We're going to be headed down to Bryant Park tonight. Even though it's quite rainy, it is a very beautiful Friday night in New York City. So we'll get started in just a moment. Again, a lot to talk about. Scott Bessent is the pick for U.S. Treasury Secretary. We also had a pretty nice rally day on Wall Street as it relates to some of the old true market leaders, which we'll talk about. But I guess we'll go ahead and get started because it looks like the audio is good. Let me just get one more shot of the Louis Vuitton store. This is right outside the Crown Building, actually. This is the Amman, New York. It's quite a unique view, right? What do you guys think of the scaffolding wrap on the Louis Vuitton store? Which they've moved the temporary store to the other side of the street, which we just quickly took a look at, but tons of traffic here on 5th Avenue. Looks like the traffic on 57th Street is backing up and blocking the entire street. But good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Walks on Wall Street. It is a beautiful, beautiful Friday night here in Manhattan. People out and about, even though the weather's a little bit crummy, it's okay. We needed the rain anyway. We're going to be headed down to the Bryant Park Winter Village tonight, having a quick chat about the markets. We'll check out the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree, and also they had the tree lighting ceremony outside of News Corporation. News Corporation obviously owns the Wall Street Journal, Dow Jones, Barron's, Investors Business Daily, and the like. But a pretty interesting end to a pretty historic week, right? We've had, almost six-figure Bitcoin. I think intraday today, Bitcoin traded as high as 99,800. Now, although futures, if you look at the futures contract, I think we may have just hit over $100,000 on the futures contract. But as we've said, there's some pretty hefty sell walls right as you go up to 100,000. So I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to hit that number. Lots of supply to chew through. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Trade Brigade says 100,170 for the futures. I could have sworn it hit it for like a second. Who knows? Maybe we'll have to wait a week. Now, it's funny. What if we just have a big fake out and it takes us into next year in order to hit that big six-figure number? I'd be fine with that, but we'll see what happens over the weekend. We'll see. I know that there's other companies, kind of raising money to purchase Bitcoin. But I think besides the crypto talk, it's interesting. If you remember the live streams going all the way back to 2021, the top performing stocks were these very, very speculative, high beta tech companies. And since the massive fallout from the height of the mania, which was 2021, they're just starting to emerge from what I like to call a stage one base. So if you go through the list of a lot of these companies, like, DocuSign, Twilio, Atlassian, ticker symbol TEAM, DocuSign, ticker symbol DOCU, a lot of those stocks, have fallen from peak to trough all the way. I mean, some of them are down, 80+%. But what we're seeing now is a little bit of a rotation, out of the big mega cap stocks into those beaten down, what I like to call like the Cathie Wood style growth stocks. I think the most well-known ETF for like very high beta speculative growth was the ARK ETF, ticker symbol ARKK. That is now emerging from a reaccumulation pattern. So who knows, maybe over the next few weeks and even the next few months, we'll see a big rally in those stocks. If you go to my Twitter handle or my X handle, now that Elon Musk has taken over the company, if you follow at Walks Wall Street, I kind of retweeted something that I tweeted back a few months ago saying, look, ARK, I believe from peak to trough was down about 89%, right? So if an ETF that has a bunch of growth stocks in it is down about 89%, well, then that some of the individual names that ETF owns were down like 90%. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. We also had a little bit of a bid in small caps. If you look at the Russell 2000 ETF, the ticker symbol is IWM. There was a pretty nice rally this week as well, closing pretty much at the dead high of the week. So we'll see what happens next week. Maybe we get a little bit of a rotation out of those big mega caps. Maybe that's kind of the way the market will stabilize. We'll get some money out of Apple. We'll get some money out of, the FANG stock, so to speak. And perhaps we'll see a continuation of this rotation. Without further ado, let's see who we have in the chat. We're standing outside the Peninsula, New York, which is a beautiful hotel, and we're right here on New York City's 5th Avenue. I see Lance is here, Ben, Professor Dario, Doc 7, Darren, Michael, Patrice 2020, Michelle Henry, good to see you. Andrew is here. I see Mohammed, John, Sani, Reggie 44. I'm seeing a lot of you talk about MSNBC. I saw that, Elon was entertaining maybe buying it. I don't know if that's fake news or not, or if it was like a meme on the internet, but I don't know. Not to get too political, but whether you like, MSNBC or not, I think one thing that we could all agree on is just the way people consume media, consume content, and consume news is just fundamentally changing. So as you're thinking about just an overall investment thesis, skating to where the puck is going, the future is streaming services, right? That's why we've been bullish on Netflix and the like. Netflix has had a nice gap and go rally from that last earnings report. I think the Mike Tyson, Jake Paul fight, even though everybody was complaining about it, I think that is the best thing that ever happened to Netflix, and it's going to open up an entirely new market for them. So I don't care if you like Mike Tyson, I don't care if maybe you don't like Mike Tyson, or maybe you don't like Jake Paul, but that fight, right, regardless of what you think of those two individuals, it was a proof of concept fight, right? It brings eyeballs, it brings viewership. I think there was about 65 million, was it 65 million people? I think it was 65 million that tuned into the Netflix Jake Paul fight. Sonny H says the stream was unwatchable for me, so much lag. Yeah, the buffering was terrible. Just to be quite honest, I didn't have any buffering. I took the night off. I didn't do the live stream. I watched the Mike Tyson Jake Paul fight, and I didn't have any issue. I don't know if it was because I was lucky, but I didn't have any issue at all. Al Baker's here. What's going on? Cheers. Hang with Mark Mom. What's going on? Dave says no cable channels here. Michael says Tucker Carlson. Rogan, Alex Jones on X. Timothy James is on the history front. Today is the 61st anniversary of the JFK assassination in Dallas. Yeah, I saw that, and I was watching some clips on X. Now, speaking about that, didn't Trump promise that once he's inaugurated, he is going to release the JFK assassination files? I know this isn't really finance related, but let's take a little bit of a poll in the audience. Do we think that Trump is going to follow through on his promises and release the JFK files to everybody? Or do you think he's going to do a bait and switch? How many people in the audience think it's going to be a bait and switch? How many of you think that we're actually going to get the JFK files? I don't think we're going to get the JFK files. That's just my 2 cents, but we'll see. Sonny says bait. Everyone says no. Rolando says yes. Lance says no. Alexander says I think he'll release the files. Daily Vibes says no. I actually don't think that he's going to release the files, to be quite honest. Waldo says, what's the point? Look, I mean, I'm not educated on the subject. I don't know too much about it. I'm not an expert, but this is generally what I think. I believe the American people deserve to know. I mean, that's my whole premise. Like, why hide that from the American people, right? JFK was a sitting president that everybody voted for to elect. I think the American people deserve to find out what happened to their president, right? But there's no guarantee that Trump is actually going to follow through on that promise. I hope he does, but you never know. And that's not, a political statement one way or another. I just don't know if he can do that. Now, there's been some rumors, I don't know if it's true or not, but people close to Trump said that once Trump actually saw the JFK files himself, he said, look, second thought, not going to release it to the public because, if I released it, it would not be good. And he's like, people that are still living are involved, so. Anyway, look at this, 52nd Street and 5th Avenue. This is the Cartier store. Jack Jackson says it will be counterproductive. Main Street Moments says he has a different mindset now. I mean, we'll see. I mean, inauguration is just around the corner. Let's just sit here and chill and watch it for a moment. It's still pretty nice. I mean, you can't compare it to the Saks Fifth Avenue one last year, but still pretty nice. Now, the stream obviously doesn't do it justice because we're only streaming in 1080p. I mean, in person, it looks pretty cool. The colors are definitely more vivid in person. Hey, Michael G is here. What's going on? DC322. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to head down to Bryant Park and go to the Winter Village. We haven't been there in maybe about a week. And I think it's open a little bit later since it's Friday. So I think we have until 11 p.m. to get down there. Main Street Moments is what store was that? It's the Cartier store, Cartier. Every time I pronounce it, half the chat says you're pronouncing it wrong, half the chat says you're pronouncing it right. I'm not a big luxury goods guy. I don't buy any of that stuff, but Cartier, I don't know how to pronounce it. But the storefront is beautiful nonetheless. We'll give one more look at it. And then Fifth Avenue, you have all these decorations going up and down. But yeah, I think that, just to kind of cap off the week, obviously earnings season is pretty much over. So we're going to get a little bit of little time to chill out here. All of the major tech companies have now reported. We have NVIDIA numbers in, which were really, really great numbers. Crushed earnings there. We had a little bit of a mixed bag. We had Walmart crushing earnings. I think Netflix crushed. Target, really, really horrible report there. And now we're getting a little bit of a rotation into some of these, older, former true market leader names. Now, another one I just want to put on everybody's radar, a company called Datadog, ticker symbol DDOG. Now, that was a monster stock in the run-up of 2021. It's since corrected for, over 2 years, and it's just starting to emerge from what I like to call a stage 1 base. Another company, which is an Australian company, which, by the way, was my largest winner of my career. The company is called Atlassian. That was one of my biggest positions during the 2021 bull market. That stock went on to correct over 80%. Now, it's just trying to come out of a big stage 1 base too, so we'll see if this trend can continue. A lot of these beaten down software names, a lot of the high beta tech names are starting to get a little bit of a sense of revival. We talked about DocuSign really taking off, Atlassian, Datadog, and ARC. Now, if you have TradingView, if you have a Bloomberg terminal, or really wherever you look at stock charts, one of the things you'll notice is all of those charts look relatively similar, right? So the ARC Innovative ETF, ticker symbol ARKK, if you go to a monthly time frame, you'll notice it's currently going through a Wyckoff reaccumulation pattern. And Atlassian looks the same, Datadog looks the same, DocuSign, Twilio. Now the point is not to say, oh, you should go out and buy all these stocks. You should just pay attention to the sector rotation. Now, if you follow us on the X platform, at Walks Wall Street, I just put out a tweet about this. But in next week's newsletter, we're going to be doing a real deep dive into some of those names that are trying to make a comeback. Assuming that the earnings and sales reaccelerate, I think there could be some actionable ideas there. So on Thursday, if you want to receive that report from us for free, you can just scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, or you could type !news, NEWS, and it'll take you to our Substack. So interesting sector rotation here. Also, as we briefly spoke about, the IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF, is doing good as well. Let me just try to. It's going to be hard for me to read all the comments tonight because I'm holding a big umbrella. Shane, thank you so much for your $2 donation. This is, hey Tom, can we go to the Brooklyn Bridge? Honestly, maybe not tonight. I'll try to get there tomorrow. We're just a little bit too far away from the Brooklyn Bridge. But I appreciate your support, and I will try to get you down there as soon as possible. Let's just quickly check out the ice skating rink. Is there anybody skating? I think there's like 2 people skating, but it's pouring raining, so. Oh no, there's actually a few people skating tonight. James says the XLM is rallying. Now, what do you guys make of the little bit of yield curve inversion that we had today? I believe the 10, was it the 10 and the 1? Michael says, remember how that dude on CNBC said Sam Bankman-Fried was the greatest? Who? Which one was that? Which broadcaster was that? I know there was a lot of people that were all on the Sam Bankman-Fried train. Hey, New England Crypto, what's going on? Good to see you. Let's actually try to head down to Bryant Park right now.
I think that will be really busy.
Oh, Michael says Kramer. Well, what was a little bit concerning to me today, I think many of you were direct messaging me on X with the clip from last night's Mad Money episode. And Kramer was like, you got to be long Bitcoin here. You got to be long Bitcoin here. And I'm like, he just ruined our 100,000 for us. It's funny because on Mad Money, when Bitcoin was like at 40,000, just building out the right side of its base, when we should have been accumulating, Jim Cramer's like, it's terrible. You should never buy it. Don't get involved in it. Hey, TK Porsche is here. Oh, that's right. Now, I'm not a big car guy, but I guess TK Porsche is talking about the new Jaguar ad. I saw that. I just didn't get it because nothing about the advertisement involved a motor vehicle at all. Hey, link between us, thank you so much for your $2 donation. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. Parker BG says, Tom, what's your favorite neighborhood in Manhattan? So I would say it's Central Park South, as well as the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I think those are the two best neighborhoods in my view. This is the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree with all the scaffolding. But let's go ahead and go to News Corporation, which is the Wall Street Journal, Fox News, Investors Business Daily, because they just did the tree lighting ceremony for their tree. It's funny, maybe many of you didn't know this, but I think the year was 2021. There was a crazy lunatic that burned down that tree. So I think it was like 2 or 3 days after the tree lighting, there was like a crazy guy that came to New York with a bunch of gasoline, poured it all over the tree and lit it on fire. There was like a massive fire. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. I mean, there has been, an overwhelming velocity of derelicts roaming the streets of New York over the last 2 weeks, committing murders and slashing people. So hopefully we can get through this holiday season without any Christmas trees being burned to the ground. Reggie 44 says US dollar has become funny money. Well, Reggie, to be fair, I'm about to say something a little bit not really controversial because it's true. I would say if you're an American citizen right now, okay, and you have a lot of cash, this is probably the best time to take a trip to Europe. That's what I would say. If you are an American citizen and you're looking for, maybe a holiday getaway, go to Europe. Look at the USD, look at the euro against the US dollar. It's hitting all-time lows. For whatever reason, the US dollar is rallying here like gangbusters. So maybe, this Christmas is a perfect time to take a European vacation because you're gonna get a lot of bang for your buck. The euro is getting destroyed against the dollar, so cheers to us. Maybe we could have a pretty good European vacation. Right now we are outside Radio City Music Hall. I believe the Christmas Spectacular with the Rockettes is just getting out. It's kind of cool to see everybody getting out of the shows. Yeah, Darren says the dollar was strong when you were in Korea. It was. That was also another pretty good time. This year is a very good time for Americans to travel internationally. Speaking of travel, anybody traveling for the holidays, going anywhere cool? Hey, Ipadilla, what's going on? Good to see you. Says I have some money in Mexico and don't want to transfer it because it's 20 pesos to $1 or 20 to 1. Yeah, I mean, the US dollar has exploded higher. It was awesome hanging out with you for a little bit during the presidential election, by the way. Hopefully you enjoyed New York. But yeah, I mean, guys, let's talk about this for a minute because it's kind of a little bit out of character, right? So you have two major asset classes that you would think would underperform with a strong dollar, right? So gold, gold did correct a little bit, but I think gold is just under $2,700 an ounce. So you have gold ripping, you have Bitcoin just under $100,000 intraday today. I think we're trading at like 98,000 right now. So with gold and Bitcoin ripping, you also have the US dollar going gangbusters. So the question is, or something to think about, is imagine if the US dollar reverses and starts to go lower. Where do you think gold and Bitcoin are going to go? I feel like stacking these big cinder blocks here on top of one another is like a disaster waiting to happen. I know it's highly unlikely that they would ever fall over, but I don't know. You have a lot of tourists here. You wouldn't want someone to get crushed by those. Michael says it's almost impossible to send money out of Argentina right now. Well, I think we have to give kudos to Argentina because talk about a complete comeback, right? If you want to talk about comeback kings, Argentina is doing really, 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 really well. And we could attribute that to the president. All right, guys, if you take a look right in front of you, you can see the Christmas tree all the way by the News Corp. Hopefully we don't start buffering, but this is usually a big buffer zone. But assuming that we don't, we'll be able to check it out. And since they drained this, it looks like they're going to start putting up the Christmas decorations here too. Hey, Elliott Wave Reviews says, Tom, it's a very unusual time when all these assets are rallying at the same time. Hard to read the markets right now. This cannot possibly last very long, don't you think? Well, I think we are in probably inning number 2 in a secular bull market. And in bull markets, it's normal for the S&P to have, at least 4 to 6 corrections of 8 to 10%. So I think that the markets should continue to perform well. Perhaps right around the time where President Trump is inaugurated, maybe the S&P 500 will fall into a little bit of a correction. All those big tech stocks can come down, maybe Nvidia can come down, Bitcoin can come down, and that correction, I believe, personally, would be a big buying opportunity because, right, what are the two things that we really focus on? Number 1 is GDP growth, and number 2 is earnings growth, and earnings remain pretty good, and GDP growth remains better than expected. Now, speaking of GDP growth, anybody notice Japan's last 2 back-to-back economic growth numbers? Anybody get a chance to see those? Japan is really getting in gear here. What I'm a little perplexed about, and maybe you guys have the answer for this, I mean, there's a lot of smart people in the audience here. So China's really going all out. They're really going balls to the wall here, particularly the PBOC, the People's Bank of China. They're really giving this thing gas, and a lot of it. But you continue to see weakness in the equity market over there in China. Now maybe that'll reverse, and maybe that Chinese equities will continue to rally. But so far, it's like complete panic mode in China. Now I have a theory. Okay, and I'm going to try to not make it political, but it's hard. I think once the world saw that President Trump won, and he's going to be the next president, if you think about yourself as a capital allocator, right? Everybody here is their own hedge fund manager, right? Everybody here is their own money manager, right? Would you want to invest your money with the communist Chinese? Or do you want to invest your money in the United States, where we have individual freedoms, property rights, free and fair markets, and now we have an entire team of people that Trump has appointed that are very, very pro-markets, pro-free markets, pro-capitalism, and now we have, ex-hedge fund manager as our Treasury Secretary. So I think people and just international investors are viewing the U.S. as just a better place to put money, betting on the U.S. Like, what's a safer bet? Betting on the United States of America, right? Betting on the continued prosperity of free and fair markets in the U.S., the earnings power of U.S. companies, or betting on a janky turnaround with the CCP, right? Look, maybe there's some alpha to be had there, but I don't think I'll participate in any of that because I've been burned by Chinese names one too many times. I've failed at making money in China. And in college, I used to have a huge, well, not huge portfolio, but the vast majority of the weighting in my portfolio, unfortunately, for like the first 2 years in college, were a lot of Chinese stocks. So, why would I allocate my money to Chinese turnaround stories when we have, the biggest tech companies in the world firing on all cylinders, and we're the leader in AI, we're the leader in cloud computing, the leader in hyperscalers, now we're going to be the leader in Bitcoin and crypto ecosystem. So the NFL is in the United States, right? The NHL, the NBA, right? The major leagues. This is the big leagues here in the United States of America. So that's kind of my thesis on it. Wow, Del Frisco's looks awesome, guys. If you're planning a trip to New York City, you got to check out Del Frisco's. It's right here. The dining room looks right at Radio City Music Hall. And now you have the Christmas tree right outside News Corp. Let's cross the street so we can get a closer look. But what do you guys think of the Christmas tree? I think it looks really pretty. Hey, look who we have. We have the one and only Cosmo Scary. What's up, Cosmo? Hopefully you are enjoying the rain that we are finally getting here in New York. Oh, and there's music playing too. Anyway, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Let me try to stand back a little bit. Wow, this is actually really nice. It's a lot better than last year. Green 007 says, hey Tommy, you're near the Per Se restaurant. So we are not, but Per Se is in the Deutsche Bank Center, formerly known as the Time Warner Center, and it is a very, very good French restaurant, Michelin star French restaurant. But it's also going to cost you probably a mortgage payment to go there and enjoy it. Alexander says, Tom, would you argue that investing in international/developed markets are no longer relevant? No, I wouldn't agree with that. It's just like, look, India has been a real bright spot. I mean, the Indian equity market's in a correction right now. I think that's a good buy. I think India is a buy. I think Argentina is a buy. I think Japan is a buy. But, you know, maybe I'm just not smart enough to navigate the Chinese markets. But, you know, I mean, we can't deny the massive liquidity injection from the PBOC. So I guess the way that I view the massive stimulus coming out of the central bank in China is that it's just going to increase global liquidity, which is good for asset prices globally, right? That's another thing I think we need to pay close attention to. Everybody's saying, you know, the S&P 500 is very, very frothy. I agree. You're starting to see all the major banks come out with these pie in the sky, you know, S&P targets. They keep raising their targets. I think we'll probably have some sort of an intermediate term correction, but I don't know if you would want to be too aggressive on betting against the market. I don't think you want to be too aggressive there because we're about to enter a bull market in global liquidity, right? Global liquidity is turning up. You're starting to see all of the major central banks, the two largest in the world. Number one, the Federal Reserve, which is our central bank with Fed Chair Jerome Powell. And number two, the People's Bank of China, the PBOC. Everybody is starting to ease and ease in a major way. That is going to be very, very bullish for global liquidity. All right, so we saw the Christmas tree here. This is by the Diamond District. Let's head to Bryant Park. I'm going to try to read a few comments. Richard says, I don't think we are in a bubble. Some sectors are still way undervalued. Michael says, Argentina was one of the richest countries in the world before socialism. And now we're turning back to free market capitalism, which is fantastic. Mr. Hunt says, Tom, I just moved here to New York last month. Looking forward to celebrating Christmas here with my family. Hey, that's awesome. Well, we're happy to have you. We're happy that you chose New York as a place to come. Thanks so much for being here. TK Porsche says whether China is a buying opportunity or not. Let's not help our number one adversary by investing in their economy or buying their products. At least as much as possible, says TK Porsche. Temporal says more liquidity equals higher prices. Generally speaking, yeah. You don't want to really be, and to your point, right? We've had there's a very high correlation with the amount of liquidity out there and the direction of asset prices. I mean, just look at the U.S. equity markets, like the S&P 500, when we, were first going into quantitative tightening, right? A lot of equities re-rated very, very quickly, very, very rapidly, right? You had S&P 500 down 20+%, and if you think about an index like the S&P being down 20+%, well, if you understand beta, well, a lot of the stocks within the index are going to be down probably 2x that, right? Maybe 40%. And if you're talking about the triple Qs, the NASDAQ 100, well, that's probably going to be down even more. Some of these stocks are going to be down 80%, which actually a lot of those stocks are starting to turn up now, as we kind of discussed earlier. Green 007 says, as a Canadian, the only international market I'm invested in is the US. I'd rather support North America. It's interesting to see some of those comments in the chat about, I don't want to invest in China because I don't want to be helping an adversary. Interesting Interesting takes, for sure. Now, I'm not a big fan of the CCP either, right? I'm probably the biggest critic of the CCP, but I also also agree, and this is actually where I would say me and a lot of conservatives tend to disagree. And I would consider myself a, heavy conservative. But I think the world is much better off when the US, China, Russia are intertwined and working together and almost relying and depending on each other. And the reason why I say that is because there's a good argument to be made that the globalization of the last decade has quite literally prevented nuclear war or a major hot war between, the superpowers of the world, the US and China, right? Because if we were ever to have a hot war with China, the global economy would be in absolute shambles, right? So it's almost as if as our economies are intertwined, as supply chains kind of depend on one another, it kind of keeps everybody at bay, so to speak. Now, on the flip side of the equation, here's what I also agree with.
It's called system.
Ever since the COVID virus hit, which absolutely obliterated supply chains, it took 3 years for supply chains to get back to normal, that really taught countries, particularly the West, that it's not sufficient to rely so heavily on one country to be the workshop of the world, so to speak. And that's why you started to see a lot of reshoring of the supply chain, right? A lot of manufacturing moving back, at least to North America, right? Maybe not moving all the way back to the United States, but just North America in general, which I think is good. The CHIPS and Science Act gave a lot of subsidy and a lot of money to build chip factories here in the US. But I don't want to get to the point, and Democrats are also like this, and they're like this with Russia. They paint, Putin bad, we can't say anything good about him. Russia terrible, we can't say anything good about them. We just want war, let's obliterate everybody. That's not a sustainable strategy in 2024, because Russia and China and the US have enough nuclear warheads to turn planet Earth into just an absolute hellscape, uninhabitable, right? So you got to take a different approach. The sales pitch has to be different. It has to be, look, we got to come to a compromise. We got to come to a point where we're in de-escalation mode. We're not poking and prodding the bear in a proxy war. Wow, look at that, guys. That's a crazy, crazy view of the Empire State Building. Anyway, I think you guys get the point. It's better if the world superpowers work together. I don't want, I agree America first. I love the America first policy of President Trump, but I don't want us to turn into isolationists, right? I understand not a lot of people like globalization, but there's also a lot to be said for world peace with globalization, with everybody working together, with us doing deals, business deals, commerce, trading with everybody. There's a lot to be said for that. Let's get one more look at the Empire State Building, and then we'll check out the Bryant Park Winter Village. But for our 2024, or excuse me, everybody, for our 2025 Markets Outlook report that we're going to send, we're going to be talking a lot about globalization. We're going to be talking a lot about China, Japan, and Russia, how that interacts and potentially affects the U.S. equity markets. We're going to send that out the day after New Year's Day. So make sure you're subscribed to our free investor letter. We did the 2024 Outlook last year. We gave a lot of good thematics. I think we put our number one theme for 2024 as cybersecurity and Bitcoin. Those two bets turned out surprisingly pretty well. And I think you guys are going to be intrigued about some of the top thematic ideas for 2025. So we're going to be writing a lot about globalization, potentially another major trade war with China. How is that going to impact inflation? Because inflation will go up, prices will go up in the short term if Trump really hammers in on these tariffs. But if we could stick it through and renegotiate trade deals, this is going to be better for the U.S. economy over the long term. So we're going to be writing about that very soon. If you can't scan the QR code, you can just type !news, NEWS in the chat, and it'll bring you to our Substack. This is Salesforce Tower, Mark Benioff's company. It says Agent Force, what AI was meant to be. Benioff, I think, in my view, is one of the best tech CEOs of all time, right up there with Steve Jobs and the like. All right, let me catch up on some of the comments. Hey, Chris L. says, would you rather have in your hand right now $98,415 or a Bitcoin, says Chris L. Is there anything in particular? Like, do I have to hold the Bitcoin for a certain amount, or do I have to hold the cash for a certain amount? Like what, is there any stipulations, or like once I get the Bitcoin, I can do whatever I want with it. Once I get the cash, I can do whatever I want with it. Yeah, Kathleen says Boar's Head has a dangerous contamination. Yeah, that sucks. But I ate 2 Boar's Head sandwiches this week. I'm going to take the risk with the, what is it called? Listeria or something? So hopefully I don't get some freak virus and pass away. But that's the risk we take. I ate 2 Boar's Head Italian heroes this week. So say a little prayer for me that I don't develop some freak virus, and hopefully I'll make it. We'll see. Stay tuned. All right, here we are at Bryant Park, the beautiful winter village. But, you know, speaking about the Bitcoin question from Chris L., did anybody see the segment this morning on Squawk Box about the company collateralizing Bitcoin? We were just talking about this. It's so crazy that happened. So apparently there was a deal in Pennsylvania. It was a 68-unit apartment complex. This particular company provided refinancing on all the debt to pay off the existing loan and a little bit more, right? A little bit more money, maybe like $2 or $3 million in cash to fix up the property with about, I think he said $1.2 to $1.3 million to secure Bitcoin for the first 4 years, at least the first 4 years of the loan. And essentially, it's so crazy that they came on CNBC because we were talking about this exact thing. I think this is going to be more common than not to help reduce and dampen the volatility and the risk of these lenders over time, right? Because if you think about a 4-year lockup in Bitcoin, right, the CAGR, the compounded annualized growth rate over the last 4 years in Bitcoin is roughly 29%. So if you can hold an asset that'll appreciate over time, right, and this is a 10-year loan, that will significantly dampen the risk profile of those loans. But what I think is going to be the next step, right, an even further step with this, now that Gary Gensler's out of the picture, he is no longer he is until January 20th, but you get what I mean. We're going to get a new SEC chairman or chairwoman, who you never know. Saab 121 is going to go away, and banks are going to be able to custody Bitcoin, which means they're going to be able to take customers' Bitcoin as collateral, post the collateral for loans, which is going to be huge. And that is the pivotal moment, my friends. So more to come. This is the Winter Village. Unfortunately, nobody is ice skating tonight because it is so rainy. Even with the poor weather, the Winter Village still looks pretty good. Let's go inside. We'll get out of the rain and I'll show you guys the lodge. But if there's no stipulation, it doesn't really, the question is, I'm not going to say the question is irrelevant, but if there's no parameters around it, it's like, would you rather have $1 million cash or $1 million in Apple stock with no parameters? It's the same thing. There's no arbitrage there. If you said, hey, would you rather have one Bitcoin right now or the equivalent value of a Bitcoin? The stipulation is you had to hold both for a year, then I'd say I'd take the Bitcoin, because probably the value of those dollars would erode over the year, and you'll probably have a positive gain if you hold Bitcoin for a year or two. So I guess, if I could just get the Bitcoin or convert it to cash and then, I don't know, just trade it, there's really no variable. Now, here's an interesting question. Okay, so Bitcoin is trading at what, $98,000 right now? If you had to take one Bitcoin, but the stipulation is you had to hold it for 5 years, so you couldn't sell, you couldn't do anything, you can't trade it. You have to hold the Bitcoin for 5 years, or would you rather have the equivalent value, right, $98,000 worth of Apple stock that you had to hold for the same time frame? So 1 Bitcoin, hold it for 10 years, or the equivalent, like, on par exchange rate for Bitcoin into Apple stock, but you had to hold it for 10 years. What are you guys choosing? Travel says Bitcoin, the short guy says Apple. Peter says Apple, Ben says Apple stock for sure. Black Valley says Apple. Hang with Mark Mom. Oh yeah, that's the Bryant Park Grill, you're right, yeah. I would say, so if we're talking about a 10-year time horizon, I'm going to take the Bitcoin. So hold it for 10 years, 1 Bitcoin, 98,000, or hold it for 10 years, 98,000 worth of Apple stock. I would say over a 10-year time horizon, right? Probably over a 2-year time horizon, maybe Apple will outperform, but I think over a 10-year time horizon, you're going to get a better compounded annualized growth rate with Bitcoin. You'll probably have, quite possibly over a 10-year time horizon, you'll probably have close to a 45% annualized return for Bitcoin. I don't know if you're going to see that for Apple, so that's what I would take. Green 007 says Apple stock every day and twice on Sunday. At the end of the day, I think you do really well with both, but you never know. It's crazy. If you go to my X page, at Walks Wall Street, I was reminiscing on my very, very first, some of my first Bitcoin buys. And I still have my Coinbase confirmations from 2016 and 2017 when Bitcoin was $2,500 and like $4,000. So back in the day when you could, a few $1,000s can get you a full Bitcoin. And now a full Bitcoin is $98,000. It's insane to watch that industry evolve. Reggie44 says a lot can change in 10 years. Oh, you know what I wanted to bring up? I wanted to get everybody's opinion on this. There was the cover story of Investors Business Daily. The cover story of IBD last week. I just got around to reading it today. It was so intriguing about satellite phones. So if you just go to investorsbusinessdaily.com or you just Google IBD satellite phones, I don't know really anything about it. That's not really my area of expertise, but it goes into talking about some of the big players in that space launching satellites into space, and that is where kind of the next wave of mobile and cellular is going to go. Right? We're going to have low orbit satellites, and we'll be able to essentially have coverage anywhere and everywhere. And many of these smaller companies right now are partnering with SpaceX and Blue Origin as their launch partner. So even though, it's kind of interesting because even though they're competitors, right? I think right now SpaceX has over 6,600 low orbit satellites providing internet connectivity from Starlink. But they're also providing the service of being a launch partner for a lot of these other satellite phone companies. So it's quite interesting. The future is probably going to look like thousands of low orbit satellites beaming around the world, and any buffering. Sometimes we buffer on the live stream. Sometimes you drop calls. I'm sure everybody's experienced a dead zone before. It's quite possible that in the next 10 years, there's going to be no buffering. There's going to be no dead zone. You'll be able to have extremely fast low latency, high throughput connection anywhere in the world from satellites. Crazy, but probably true. Cold Matter says low orbit satellites are bad for human health. I mean, I don't know. Is there any data on that? I mean, so is smoking cigarettes. You know, so is doing heroin. So is fentanyl, but people still do that. So I don't think our biggest worry is low orbit satellites. I don't know. I just don't know if there's any conclusive data that, you know, satellites are bad for our health. Similarly to, remember everybody thought that 5G was some conspiracy to get everybody sick? There's just no data to support that 5G is unhealthy. The short guy says bad argument about fentanyl. It was more of just like a kind of like an asshole kind of joke to be grumpy by me. Dr. Murray Hill MD says that explains why my Sirius XM radio in my car goes out so much. They have literally 6 satellites and Elon has 600. Yeah, I don't know the exact number, but I think it's a little bit over 6,600 satellites for SpaceX and Starlink. Hey, what's up, man? He says, hola, Tom. Are you looking to become a CFO one day in New York City? No. I actually don't think I would be good at that job. I don't think you want me being a chief financial officer of a company. Seriously, I don't think I would perform well in that role. Seriously, I don't think I would. I'd perform well as like a PM, a trader, but CFO, no. I actually think I would do really poorly in that role. All right, let's go check out Herald Square Macy's. It usually looks really, really beautiful down here. Well, look, a CFO has a different outlook and has a different mindset. You know, a CFO is not, you know, a risk taker. You know, let's get risk on here and let's really give it gas. You know, a CFO is more like, you know, let's keep the house in order. You know, don't step on any toes. And I think that's actually really good. And that's not the type of person I am. Wow, I wonder what is this? I've never seen orange garbage bags in the city before. It doesn't even look like there's anything in them. Right down this street here, everybody, there's actually 2 really good Korean restaurants. I might as well take you to them right now. One of them is called Hanbat, Hanbat, really good spot. And the other one is called Sudunkel. These are good spots. So if you're coming to New York City and you're looking for some really good Korean food, just come right to Herald Square, go to 35th Street and make a right if you're headed northbound, left if you're headed southbound. And these are 2 really good spots. You see right here? Hanbat, Hanbat, really good. Let's see if I can show you guys the menu. I was just here the other night. Oof. The lunch special is pretty good. Oh, Teresa Diaz. So TD, when TD was in town, this is where we went. This is a good spot. Hey, no, yeah, I'm just chilling. Yeah, it's a good spot. Anyway, I'd recommend it. Let's continue down.
Not enough.
Oof. Doc 7's Vornado is up 95% in the past 12 months. Doc 7, I've been doing some work on another REIT. I wanted to flip it your way, but I don't think I have your, I think I have your email. I couldn't find it the other night. But yeah, I'm doing some work on a REIT for a friend, and I want to flip it your way. It's, they own a lot of strip malls, and Stop and Shop is like one of their main anchor tenants throughout all of these strip malls. Well, I shouldn't say they own mostly strip malls. It's a lot of retail, which is surprisingly doing really well, like middle market strip mall centers. Hey, Black Ribbon is here. What's going on? Cheers. Soho Joe, welcome. Someone says, Tom, when is your next vacation? I don't usually take vacations, but every time I go back to Miami, it's kind of like a little mini vacation. But I usually do like a mix of work and pleasure. But on days like today, I really wish I was in South Florida for sure. Rock and Roller Man says, last night I couldn't believe you said Ukrainians dying for nothing. What, unreal? Yeah, it's really unreal. It's really sad. There's probably 100,000 plus Ukrainians died for nothing so far. And I think the war should stop. I think the military-industrial complex should stop feeding the flames and fanning the flames of this pointless nonsense war. That's the truth. They're essentially sending the youth of Ukraine to just to be slaughtered in a meat grinder. Same thing with the Russians, right? This war is just a total blasphemy. And I think if you had strong leadership, you wouldn't have the slaughter of all these civilians. So hopefully now that the Trump administration's in there, we'll put an end to this senseless killing, and you won't have to have people dying for nothing anymore. Because if you look into it, I don't really want to get too political, but we've been giving Ukraine a lot of our old weapons, a lot of our old munitions that we were going to, terminate anyway. So we feed the weapons so we could have the Ukrainians launch them at Russia, which is like we're launching them at Russia. And then we could turn around and just put more orders in with the, the big military industrial complex contractors. And then it all starts again. It's the same scam with the Afghanistan withdrawal, right? You don't have, a withdrawal that incompetent for no reason, right? It's by design. We left all of that equipment there on purpose, right? Because now we have to buy new equipment. Oh, how convenient. So we give the Taliban all of our multi-billion dollars worth of equipment so we can go to the Raytheons of the world, so we can go to the Grummans of the world, put in billions more dollars for new equipment, right? New tanks, new drones, new planes, all this stuff. And then the military-industrial complex hopes that we get in another hot war in the Middle East so we could battle it out with the Taliban again, our old equipment versus our new equipment, and the profits keep ringing the register, right? So hopefully, with President Trump in there, the military-industrial complex machine will no longer be in use. But the military-industrial complex is very, very strong. So I don't know. I mean, think about it, right? I know I don't really want to get too hot into it, but guys, we just don't give the Taliban tanks, Apache helicopters, and then say, oh yeah, but we took all the main components out of them. Dude, it's obvious we left them there on purpose so we could put in new buy orders for all new stuff. It's just so sad, man. So sad. Anyway, here's the holiday windows for Macy's here. It almost looks like Valentine's Day and not Christmas, right? Now, Putin is doing the same thing. Vladimir Putin is an evil guy, I agree. And he's essentially using North Korean troops as cannon fodder, right? Every single North Korean soldier that goes and fights in Ukraine and Russia war is going to be slaughtered. Every one of them. They're all going to die. And Putin doesn't care, and neither does Kim Jong-un. So the whole thing is just such a waste of life. And the sooner it ends, the better, right? Steve Brown says, did you vote for Trump? I can't vote, but I wanted President Trump to win over current VP Harris. But the election's over, and if Harris won, I would have supported and acknowledged that she won the election. That's kind of how I am. I'm not a sore loser. All right, let's check out the other windows. Wow, this looks pretty cool. Anyway, in conclusion, I hope all the wars stop. And I think the only way out for the Russia-Ukraine war is to set up some sort of demilitarized zone, similar to what you have with North Korea and South Korea. And it'll just have to be like a demilitarized zone forever. I don't know. Look at this. This is cool. But if you really think about it, the current result of the election is actually what, reasonable Democrats and Republicans can agree on. Like, the Democrats that I know, that I grew up with, were always for defunding the Pentagon, right? Our military budget is way too big. But the government, just installs fear into us and say, whoa. If we stop spending on the military, then, we're going to get attacked. and boogeyman this, boogeyman that. But if everything has really been exposed now that we have the internet. There were never any weapons of mass destruction, right? So our government lies to us all the time. I think we should have a big military spending budget, but not as big as it is. We could definitely cut that because you just need efficiency. If you don't give the Taliban billions of dollars worth of military equipment, well then we don't have to spend on more. So if we get the corruption out of the government, which is actually one thing that the Democrats always wanted, they wanted to shrink the military spending budget, which I agree. Let's shrink it now that we know that we've been lied to all these years. And let's use that excess money to actually support the veterans that are here at home that are suffering from, PTSD, they lost their limbs, fighting for this country. So instead of funneling that money to fan the flames of Russia-Ukraine war, let's take care of our military veterans that have come back from war, lost limbs, they're suffering from mental health issues. Let's take care of them and then stop being, the policemen of the world and, getting in all these proxy wars. That's my stance on it. Wow, I wonder what all this is for. Man, the Empire State Building looks so crazy cool tonight. Macy's looks awesome too. Wow, this is an awesome view. At least Macy's looks extremely festive, We'll check out some of these windows here. But if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far tonight, feel free to leave a like on the video and click the subscribe button if you're new. Let's go to Koreatown. We haven't been there in such a long time. Hey, what's up, Jack Jackson? Oh yeah, that's right. That's crazy. I think we're almost at 60,000 people here on Walks on Wall Street. And I appreciate all of the viewers. That's kind of wild. I mean, I can't even wrap my head around that. 60,000 people? We're pretty close. That's wild. So thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the conversations about the financial markets and the like.
You've done this before, right?
Very thought-provoking and interesting discussions we have here, and I appreciate everybody who takes part in them. Let's go and take a look at the other windows one more time. Now, next week is Thanksgiving, if you can believe that. And next week also marks my favorite stream of the year. Well, top two. Usually Halloween is top two, but my favorite is the day before Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving Eve. We usually stay out for like 3 hours, so hopefully the weather will be good. And we watch the construction of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade stage right outside Macy's, and we watch the full rehearsal. So if you guys want to join us for that next week, we're going to be doing that obviously Wednesday night, and that'll probably be like a 3 hour plus stream. It's right here. We sit here, walk around, we check out all the construction workers building the stage. It's kind of cool. Let's take a look at this one. Red Buffs is what time do we start on Thanksgiving Eve? Usually around the same time, like 8:45 to 9, because they start to set up everything, I think, around 11:30. So we're usually out to maybe midnight, like 12:30, 1 a.m. Let's check out the other ones. I think this year is a little bit more mechanical, right? I think last year was a little bit less, like it almost looks like futuristic space here. Last year was like way different. It's freezing out here though. All right, let's take a look at the others. Looks like the rain is stopping, the clouds are clearing. So you see the top of the Empire. I'd take you in Macy's, but it's closed, unfortunately. This kind of looks like the Thanksgiving Day Parade mascot here. Yeah, I think that's the main Macy's mascot for the parade. Oh, let's check out the other one. Like again, this almost kind of looks like Valentine's Day and not Christmas, but all right. I think we got one more. Which one do you guys like the best? I think I like this one, the one we're looking at right now, the best. All right, let's head to Koreatown. Hey, Carla, what's going on? Welcome to Macy's Herald Square. Nice. I wonder what they're setting up here. Does anybody know? I mean, they took the big police barricades down. There used to be these huge, like NYPD barricades. Maybe they're setting up for the parade. I don't know. It seems a little early, doesn't it, to be setting up for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade? They usually do it like a day or two before. Oh, it looks like they're closing down 34th Street. Doesn't it? Take a look. I mean, maybe they're just getting everything into place so they could build the stage. You never know. All right, maybe we'll go down and around. Hey, you have Chile here. We have a few people watching the stream from Chile. Santiago. We'll go down to 32nd Street, Korea Way. And we'll make a left. It's been raining for almost 48 hours in New York. Hey, Hood Patriot, what's going on? Welcome. Mary is here. Good to see you. So what did you guys think about the Macy's windows this year as opposed to 2023? I think they did a good job, but I'm trying to think of what it looked like last year. Hey, Elias, what's going on? Here you can see that gimbal bridge that used to be the Macy's competitor. This is a good spot here. Yeah, thought travel. Because I think Macy's looked like Valentine's Day and not Christmas. I thought the same thing. It kind of looked like Valentine's Day-esque. Let's go to Vernado Land, Pen 2 project. That's true, Dr. Murray Hill, MD. I'm glad they do it too, because Macy's isn't, necessarily in the best financial standing, but they always seem to pull through with the parade and the like. Where's Macy's trading at, by the way? I think Macy's is ticker symbol M. Anybody know where Macy's is trading at? All right, I think we have the light. Cosmos, did you ever buy anything at Macy's? Yeah, pretty much every single suit I have is from that main flagship Macy's at Herald Square. If you go to the 6th floor, I think the 6th or 7th floor, they actually have an unbelievable selection of suits, like very, very good. Really, really good stuff. They have Brooks Brothers there now, which is what I usually wear during the fall and the winter to work. I'm a big Brooks Brothers guy. And the people are really nice there too, and they'll tailor it for you. They actually have some pretty good deals. Macy's $16. Got it. Look at that. Gridlock traffic. I think I only have one suit that's not from Macy's, and it's a rip-off, total rip-off suit that I got from Suit Supply. I'm not a big fan of Suit Supply, but it was like an emergency. Wow, look at this. I feel like we've seen this car once before, this McLaren. I think it was almost like $800 to $1,000, but it was an emergency and I needed to get it. And the Suit Supply suits are not even that nice, to be quite honest. That's a really cool car. You can see the Christmas trees in the new Penn 2 building. You have Major League Soccer as a tenant in there now. DC 322 says F1 Vegas is this weekend. Isn't all of the F1 events like ridiculously overpriced? Isn't it like $30 for a bottle of water? Somebody sent me a snapshot or a photo of one of the F1 events in Miami, and the prices were just absolutely ridiculous. Kathleen says I should have custom-made suits. Maybe, but they do really. Some of the suits I have are really nice. I'll look into it. I think we have to go around. There's still some construction. They did a little bit of Christmas stuff this year. I could finally put my umbrella down. Whew. Oh, the Dave Matthews Band was performing today. Oh, they have the number 2 for Penn 2. That's actually really unique. That's really nice. This is for the Penn 2 project.
His wife has been to like a club like him too. Over 250 shows.
Can you guys see the rain coming down? It's like a really pounding, misty rain. so it's hard for the umbrella to really catch it. Hey, what's up, CP? Oh, let's do one lap around and see what else they got. Let me get the umbrella back out. Looks like they're putting up another Christmas tree here. Hey, what's up, Bruce? Pops is where exactly am I? This is 34th Street, Penn Station. You're looking at Madison Square Garden right now. So that big kind of building with the green, the purple, and the blue, with kind of the orange on top, with the two buildings in the back, that's Madison Square Garden. And this is Los Tacos. So this is the brand new entrance of Long Island Railroad. Let's see what else they got. It's too windy back there. But wow, look at Los Tacos. It's packed. And it must be, what, 10 o'clock at night? 10:30? And here you can get the 123 ACE and Long Island Railroad. You could also get the New Jersey Transit, but you're going to have to walk a little bit further south. Now, if you guys are really into Mexican food, the best Mexican burrito slash taco spot in New York City, you could write it down. It's called Burrito Box. It's right next to the Flame Diner on 58th Street and 9th Avenue. It's really, really good. Trust me. And the portions are tremendous. It's called Burrito Box. So if you're in New York City and you like Mexican food, check out Burrito Box. All right, let's cross the street and then I'm gonna head back to Grand Central. It's a nice Tesla. Haven't seen a Cybertruck tonight though. That's really surprising. Well, I guess we still have a few more moments before we end the stream. But usually, at least every night, we see a Cybertruck. Ooh, nice. Mark Francis says you saw a matte black one in your neighborhood. Fantastic. Well, it looks like the NYPD is blocking off the street already.
Hey, Dylan.
Maybe they're doing it early this year. Look at this. Nobody. I guess nobody could come through. They're blocking the entire thing off. We'll wait for these guys to go across. So. Oops. Looks like the Tesla's not making the cut.
New York City. That is shit. It's not fun.
All right.
Where are you going? It's a fucking lake. Walk. I'm gonna walk.
What's up, Cosmo? Oh, looks like we got another window here. All right, maybe we'll bang a right. Oops. Let's see if we can get around here. Darren says, I've never heard someone say bang a right before. I always say bang a right, bang a left. Maybe it's just a habit. Bang a right, bang a left. This is the backside of Macy's. Darren says, get yourself a Dunkin' Donuts. I'm probably going to get a coffee when I end the broadcast, but I got to head back uptown, so I might as well take you guys with me. The spire of the Empire State Building is making the sky look red. Very cool. Anyway, now that we're near the end of the stream, anybody doing anything fun for the weekend? Any plans? Anything cool? Damn, look at that. Such a unique view. Oh wow, Cosmo getting a new refrigerator. Okay, love that. Well, all the best. Someone's just playing chess with my sons. Love that. I used to be a pretty big, obsessive chess player back in the day. Perhaps that's something I should look into getting into again. Pops, love that. Gonna ride your motorcycles. Now, if I was in Miami, I'd probably be, I mean, I don't have a motorcycle, but I have a Vespa. That's one of the most freeing feelings ever. I really understand people that own motorcycles now. It's just the most euphoric feeling ever. Palm trees, 80 degrees, driving down Collins Avenue on the Vespa. You know, life is good. You park the Vespa, maybe you get a coffee. Well, if you're in Miami, maybe a cafecito. Get some Cuban food, and all is good. Black Ribbons is shopping for sure. It is the holidays. Bryce, I think they do. I think after midnight, they turn the lights off. Cosmos says, how much was my Vespa? It was about $1,200. I have two of them. I have one in blue, one in white. It's about $1,200 each. It's a good way to get around. But you can't take it on the highway. So in the state of Florida, you need a motorcycle license for an engine, I think, over 50 cc's. So if it's 50 cc's or under, you don't need a motorcycle license because, you know, if you push it above like 40 miles an hour, it's going to shake violently. So you can only take it on like the little side streets. And look, I don't go fast anyway. I don't want to go fast. I just want to cruise around, you know, putt around on the Vespa. That's all. That's good enough for me. Now, I will be buying a car at some point in my lifetime, and it'll definitely be an EV, 100%, and about 90% certainty it'll probably be a Tesla. But we'll see. I think if I buy a car in 5 years, there's probably going to be some like really, really sick new Cybertruck that comes out. No, Cosmos is $1,200, not $12,000. No way. 12,000's, I mean, that's expensive. Yeah, no. You can get a little scooter, you know, one of those scooter shops in Miami for, you know, a few $1,000, $1,000. You could probably get a used little scooter for like $800. It's cheap. Now there's this vintage, like classic Vespa. It's bright yellow that I was thinking about buying, but it's like, I think it was like $5,000 or $7,000. But I'm like, that's just a waste. It's just a waste. The only problem about riding those things down there is the drivers are crazy. If anybody's ever driven around Miami, like Miami-Dade, people are nuts. I mean, the road rage down there is way worse than it is here. Which I don't know why, because everybody that I meet down there is so nice. You walk into the restaurants, you walk into the coffee shops, they're the nicest people ever, like so kind. But once they get behind the wheel, it's like the Terminator. It's crazy. Rock and roller man says that's the whole state. I wouldn't doubt it. I think probably the 3 states with the worst drivers: Florida, New York. What else? Massachusetts, I guess. Specifically Boston, Mass. I don't know. I don't really drive up there at all. Cali. Utah. Someone's saying Utah. Really? 31 says California driving is nuts. Never driven in California. You know, I could see why maybe in like LA, because the traffic is so crazy. Everyone's all pent up and bent out of shape. Sheila is in Hawaii. They're friendly, aggressive drivers. That's an interesting description. Friendly, aggressive. Isn't Elon Musk supposed to be doing something about the traffic in LA with the Boring Company? Anybody hear about that? Like, what's the newest project that's going to be put on with the Boring Company to solve the massive traffic crises? This will take us back to Bryant Park. Yeah, Yogi says Doge, Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah. Yeah. Reggie says robo-taxis. Perhaps. Oh wow, Dimitri says he gave up on the LA project, too much regulation. That's a shame. That sucks. Dimitri says he moved on to the Vegas project. Interesting. We talked about this a little bit earlier in the broadcast, but if you look up the cover story of Investors Business Daily last week, it was a really good cover story about satellite phones. And a good portion of the article was all about SpaceX, as well as Starlink, and how SpaceX is being used as the launch partner for a lot of their competitors. So a lot of Starlink's competitors are actually contracting with SpaceX to be used to launch their satellites into low Earth orbit. And I think as of today, SpaceX has about 6,300 or 6,500 satellites. And what is Amazon's satellite company? It's like a subsidiary. It's something with a K, K-U-R-P something. Maybe someone could look that up. They're supposed to launch 3,000 satellites into orbit next year. I don't know how they're going to do that, but... Anybody know the... I'm blanking out on the name. If you just Google Amazon satellite subsidiary. Ah, you're right. Murray Hill MD. You're correct. Very, very, very good. Now, I'd assume Blue Origin would get involved. I think they might. Speaking of Blue Origin, I think Blue Origin just had a launch yesterday or the day before. Did anybody see that post on X? Elon was like, apparently there was a rumor going around Mar-a-Lago that Jeff Bezos was telling everybody to short Tesla because Bezos didn't think Trump was going to win. And then Jeff Bezos comments on Elon's post and says, no, that's total fake news. Hilarious. It's just funny how in 2024, everybody on a public forum, on a public stage, can witness like billionaires bickering back and forth with one another. It's quite hilarious when you think about it. Because back in the day, all of this stuff was behind closed doors, and billionaires were these mysterious people. And now we get a front row seat to watch them, argue, bicker, post memes about each other. It's like the most weird thing ever, but it's also very entertaining. See the top of 53 West 53rd Street. I know, Nikki says now we get our popcorn and tune in. It's so funny. I think the most entertaining billionaire battle of 2024 was Mark Cuban, Elon Musk, and who else was in a big bickering match back and forth? I think Ackman too. All about the election. JJ, this is entertaining for a sociopath, maybe. I don't know, maybe I guess you can categorize me as a sociopath. I don't think so, but I get a laugh out of it. I mean, if Elon Musk posts something outlandish about Mark Cuban and Mark Cuban fires back and gives a dig at Elon Musk, I think it's kind of funny. It just it really humanizes everybody, because it's like, look, yeah, these guys are worth, in Elon Musk's point, 100 billion plus, but they're just people. They shit post online. They look at memes just like we do. It's funny. It's like, they're not these like vanilla, boring people. Agent Wonderbread says Cuban hasn't been right about anything in his life. Well, I have a theory on the whole Mark Cuban thing. He never supported Kamala Harris. He just has a massive billionaire ego. And Trump and him were in a big dispute back in the day. And Mark Cuban has more money than God. So does Trump. And billionaires have massive egos. So Cuban's just like, I'm going to do everything to make Trump lose. I don't really give a shit about the outcome. That's kind of my take on it. Same thing with our good friend Anthony Scaramucci. He's not a Biden supporter, okay? He's not a Harris supporter. Trump fired him, and Anthony Scaramucci is a smart guy, you know, super sharp guy, ex-Goldman Sachs, you know, worth probably $100+ million, maybe more now. And he just wanted to break Trump's balls. And good for him, who cares? It's just, you know, ultra wealthy people with egos, you know, that's how they are. They're super ultra competitive. So more power to Anthony Scaramucci. I actually tend to like Anthony a lot. I actually had the pleasure of meeting him in person at a crypto conference a while back. He's a smart guy. Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call it a night because my phone is about to die. But if you enjoyed the live stream, feel free to leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new. And if you like these conversations about the financial markets and the economy, we do write a free investing newsletter we send out every other Thursday. We're preparing our 2025 investor deck outlook. So if you want to receive that, just scan the QR code on your screen, punch in your email, or type !news, NEWS in the chat, and the Nightbot will drop the link to our Substack. But until then, we'll see you guys tomorrow right back here at 8:45 p.m. Have a wonderful weekend, get some rest, and we'll see you soon. So Joy, thank you. Steve, Professor Dario, Andy, Angyongi Keseo, Mohammed, Yogi, all of our moderators, Doc7, Reggie, Arsenal fan, Alexander, Austin City Limits. Have a great weekend. We'll see you guys soon. Take care.